Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Welcome to the channel. We are in the little shop today because it's kind of off and on rain today. This is part 2 of our trade-up series. We started off with a Pioneer P42 chainsaw that I bought for $2 at a yard sale. I was able to sell that chainsaw. I took the money from that chainsaw and I bought this, a Ran When Parked. Clearly didn't buy any words to use for speech. L100 John Deere lawnmower. Let me give you the grand tour. The fact that the hood is intact was a big selling point for me. The deck needs a little bit of work, which I'm not against stripping that and painting it. It wouldn't be terrible. It's got a reverse, that's handy. 5 forward speeds. Hopefully we'll test those out later. This side of the deck is a little worse. We're going to be running that a little bit for sure at some point. Got a place to clip your walkie-talkie. You can't really beat that. A fella needs that. Got a 17 horse. See if it's got any of this stuff in it. Oh, it's got some. It doesn't even look too bad, does it? As far as whether or not it runs, well, you know, we're not up to a great start, but we'll try to figure that out as well. The whole goal of this trade-up series, by the way, is my wife wants a camper. And honestly, I wouldn't mind a camper either, but we just don't have the money to do it. So the whole goal, take that $2 and be that the only money we spend. Is that the words? We want to get a camper and we can't afford it, so we took $2 and bought a chainsaw, and we're going to keep trading our way up, or fixing our way up from non-running things until we can get a camper, or at least a trailer that we can make into a camper. Now the fella did say it ran when it parked. We'll see how lucky we can get. It did not come with a key when I bought it. Slightly suspicious, probably slightly reflecting of the price, but you know, I paid for it and have a receipt. That's what matters. Bad boy's in neutral. Probably gotta do one of those. Okay, all right. Well, we're off to a good start. Huh? A fella can mow in the dark. Cool. My guess is there's probably a safety messed up somewhere on the seat safety or something like that. Could be the starter solenoid too, and it could be the starter. There's of course an easy way to check that. Well, she spins, bud. She's free, she spins, starter seems to work. So it could be the starter solenoid, but let's do some easier investigation first here. Don't try it home. Right? We know that by watching this channel for a while. And if you like what you're watching, be sure to subscribe. We've got over 400 videos. Not stuff like this, but over 400 videos of homestead stuff and working for their perfect part-time. Is there anything? I need a light in here. Ooh. Let's see. Somewhere where it doesn't belong. What's that? What is this? It's a momentary switch of some kind. You see that? This fella right here is laying in there. It's a little momentary. What do you want to bet that's supposed to be? The safety. I feel like there should be a safety or something that engages when you push this to start, and I'm betting that's what that little clip is. Let me see if I can get some things finagled around in there. And that should. So you see it in there now, right there. I can balance the light, and then when you push this, it should come up and hit that switch, I think. No good way to find out. All right, so that was simple. I need to make sure that switch stays in there though. Before we get too carried away with starting it, let's go ahead and eliminate any fuel line issues. I just want to pop these off clean them out a little bit, make sure there's nothing crazy in there. And then I got a new fuel filter. Change that fuel filter out real quick. I just want to eliminate some of the basics real fast. Your fuel line comes right here and runs down under the deck and then runs down under here somewhere and meets up with our fuel tank here. Is there anything even in there? Oh yeah, there's stuff in there. I want to dump that out too and get rid of that altogether. Now the one thing I don't want to do, these all have little like plastic nipples on them. I don't want to break any of that. Give it a little twist-a-roo. Make sure she's not stuck, and then we'll just pull it off. Came off easier than I expected. There. And the old twist and pull. Really just want to make sure there's nothing crazy in there, like no big chunks of anything come out. If you wanted to, this stuff's pretty cheap. It wouldn't take much just to replace the daggone lines. There we go. That is an interesting color. Just pretty much draining everything out of the tank at this point. It's a pretty easy spot to do it. So we've got all the gas drained out of the tank. I went down to our gas station, and we're very fortunate they sell ethanol-free gas down there. So I'm gonna put a little bit of ethanol-free gas in here. Come on, get off of there. Oh, there, ow. Got it, okay. These do have the flow marked on them typically. Just has the arrow, so from the fuel tank, it's gonna go into there. Right? Yes. Oh, that one fits beautifully though. Okay, that all looks good. Tuck it back up in there where it was. And well, let's turn it over and see if it'll pull some new fuel. Oh, the seat's awfully moist. See, is one of these a choke? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we know it runs. Now we gotta figure out if it moves, and we gotta see if the blades and everything actually turn, and then we gotta fix that deck. But I'm gonna add some mechanic in a bottle. Just kind of helps clean the fuel system since it's been sitting for so long. It says about 1 ounce per gallon. By the way, I ordered this offline, and I lost 2 ounces in the mailbox because it exploded from the heat. Isn't that wild? Normally I just pick it up from the store, but I wanted to get some in bulk. Keep around. Well, that ought to do her just fine, bud. Oh, she's fast. She's a beaut. Let's try 3. She's a champ. So she runs, and I figured out, obviously with parking brake on, you can get off of it. She doesn't run too bad. But the blades aren't engaging, so we got to figure that out. It runs, goes in and out of every gear and reverse. Fantastic. That's 2 thumbs up. We're looking for more than that though. Now the deck won't engage though. That's the next thing. It did try to shut off on me when I turned it on earlier, but that's because I had it in reverse. You can't mow in reverse unless you use that fancy override switch. That's what tried to kill it earlier. The way these blades work, that pulley, it just rides down there and spins constantly while the motor's on. And all that control does is runs down, follows this cable, and there's basically a belt tensioner under there. And I'm guessing, with the shape of this deck, that there's something going on with that. Let's take a gander down yonder here. Let's see what we got going on. Yes. And then also, okay, that's interesting. Do they spin? Oh yeah, they turn. Well, that's promising. They're free. I'm thinking a big hammer is going to be the temporary solution. Possibly this piece of wood. I feel like it should go further than that. Oh, that should be enough tension, I would think. You see this right here? It was stuck over here. I was pulling the lever and it was doing nothing. But now it's moving. But I'm not sure if it's still pulling enough tension for that belt. But that might be. I mean, it's on there pretty good now. I'll give her a few more whack-a-doodles there. Oh, yeah. If that doesn't fix it. Look at that range of motion now, boys. Oh. Yeah, sometimes you just gotta work the joints. A little flexibility never hurt anybody. I kind of got away from us on vacation, you know, but let's test her out on that bud. She's pretty wet too. So it mows. This is tall, wet. That's She's a little moist right now to be mowing, but I wanted to test her out. I mean, it handled it fine. Drives, all the gears work, deck raises and lowers, and it mows. That's like 4 thumbs up so far. Next step, I'm just gonna get her hosed off real quick, get all this grass mess off of it, and then we'll take it off, take the deck off. Not bad. Next step, let's get this deck off here and survey this damage, see if we can come up with a game plan to get her fixed. Can't imagine it's too crazy difficult to get this deck off here. Let's take a gander. Looks like there's just a bracket at the front and a couple pins back here. Pop that off. Yep. How's he? And we've got one right there we got to keep off, or take off. And then we should be able to slide this rig out. Belt should just kind of slide off that. There we go. All right. The rust-wise, I don't see anything crazy. It all just looks like surface rust. So we'll get a wire wheel out and we'll kind of take everything that's bad off there. Clean her up and paint her. Looks like the biggest repair is going to be right here. Right there where that broke at. But I've got a pretty good plan on how to fix that up and make it even a little bit stronger. I think it's going to be easy. Let's just go ahead and strip all the bracketry off real quick. Just give us better access to everything. A lot of mower companies, there are a lot of brands you see, like Husqvarna, Murray, Craftsman. Those are all made by the same company, made by MTD. John Deere does make all their own mowers, at least their 100 series mowers. This is an L100. I think they're at on S's now, but they make them all down in Greenville, Tennessee. I'm not saying all the parts are U.S. parts, but the factory's in Tennessee, and the factory's in the U.S., so it's kind of cool. Now the plastic is broken, it's great. Put those bolts with that. So these are adjustable in their height. See how it's slotted? But you can see the line at where it was. So I'm just going to measure and match that and put it back 1.25 inches. You can see it on this side too. Should be the same 1.25 inches. Oh no! Hey there, little tear. Fixing to ruin my day a little bit, are you? The blade's got a little goat in its grass there. Maybe that's a custom mulching feature. Looks like new blades is going to be on the agenda for this build too. And that's fine. Before we get too carried away with all of that, let's get this repair here finished. Well, started, I guess. I've got a piece of slick rod steel here, nothing crazy about it. It fits down in that groove pretty well. So what I'm going to do, after we get this all cleaned up, is I'm going to weld it and just kind of heat and bend it around in that groove and weld that all in. Not only will it fix it, I think it's going to make it quite a bit stronger too. We'll call this one, you could probably consider that an improvement. That's like a custom modification. I am going to move the gas away from the welder though. We don't need that in our day today. The setup for today. Power cord out, I've got a grinder and a wire wheel on that one. Torch, of course, a welder. I'd love to get a shop someday. You know, we're fixing up a lawnmower because I can't afford a camper. So a shop's like somewhere down there. It's not the best prep, but I think it'll work for what we're wanting to do. It's clean along this edge. It's clean in here where I can tie into that just a little bit. And we're good back past that crack. At some point, all the beating and banging, you guys shut off. Here's what we ended up with. One giant weld. And I know that's a lot of rod. A fella could have just tacked it as you went. And I'm realizing as I did this, I probably could have just cut that whole bent section out and just used that slick rod around there. But I needed that bent section to kind of match the radius. I haven't checked the clearance on the blade. Probably I'll do that quick. It also gives me plenty of material to sit there and grind that off and smooth it off and make it look nice. I don't want to sell something. I don't want to sell something that looks bad, and I don't want to sell something that's not going to work. And I don't want to sell something that's going to break. I want to make sure I'm giving them what I'm giving them, you know? So let's check our clearance here. What are you, like a professional, bud? Huh? That looks pretty good. It's actually a few days later, kind of lost track time the other day and was almost late to a place I had to be, but we made it in time. And I just came off shift this morning. I know this is a lot of excess steel. It's more steel than it needs to be, but I've got a vision in mind of how I want this to look before we get it all painted. So let's get her flipped over, which is pretty easy because this is a very light deck. Oh, look at those. They're beautiful. And I picked up some more flap wheels. Normally I get my stuff from Benchmark Abrasive. They make awesome stuff. Not a sponsor, not a partnership. I just tend to get my stuff from there. They have good prices and really good products. But I love my Diablo blades, and I just happened to see that Diablo flap wheel at the store today. I thought I'd give it a go. So this is what it looks like now. And that's what we ended up with. I think that looks great. Definitely going to be a lot stronger than what was there before. Everything's welded together, everything's tied together, cleaned up nice. All right, well, there's that. I ditched the Diablo flap wheel disc pretty quick. I was not really impressed with that. I think I'll stick with my Benchmark Abrasives flap wheel disc. I went to Diablo grinding wheel, which I haven't used these before either. I did like this. The Diablo grinding wheel did do a really good job, and then I polished it up with a Benchmark Abrasive flap wheel disc. But not every company makes the best everything, so it's kind of fun to play around with different products from different companies. I've got the wire cup wheel on here next. We're gonna try to get this all cleaned up and ready for paint. I think that looks pretty good. Still got to take the air compressor and blow all the loose stuff off. We're going to coat the whole thing in rust converter and then primer and a couple coats of some Implement John Deere enamel. But cleaning it up, we did find this right here, a little crack. So we got to try to see if we can't touch that up without blowing through too bad. And I got this rig over the back of my helmet because the sun's behind me, which makes a glare, which makes it a touch difficult to see. I just need to go all the way down that and try to blend it the best I can. Okay. That's what we ended up with there. It's not the prettiest. I polished it up a little bit with that flap wheel, but it should be strong enough. We shouldn't have any issues with it holding. As far as that goes, I'm gonna take out wire wheel and clean up. That's hot because I just welded it, clean up a few more spots, get her all blown off with the air compressor, then I'll hit her with the magic rust reformer. Now we just have some acetone here. Or wipe her all down. There are a couple thin spots on this deck, and a fella could spend all day chasing little cracks and trying to get it like it's brand new, but we're not selling a brand new mower, we're selling a used mower. We're just trying to make sure they can get several more years out of it. Not a brand new thing, it's not what this is. And if they use it for what this size mower, this mower was made for, they won't have any problems. This isn't a commercial mower. It's not a heavy duty mower. It's not made to go bahawing through the woods with or do bush hogging with. It's made to mow a small, flat yard. Nothing but grass. Then we're going to spray all the exposed metal down with this rust reformer. I think it's about $4 a can, but actually the subscriber actually sent me 6 cans of this, so we can put it on the bill or we can not put it on the bill. Probably not put it on the bill since this can was free to me. So that's what we ended up with. Places where the paint was still good, I didn't hit with the rust reformer. It doesn't really make sense. We're going to put a primer over all this once it dries. So everything that you still see painted yellow that had decent paint still get covered with a primer before we put that John Deere enamel on. So on a completely unnecessary and over the top move, I'm going to do filler primer on the first coat. I guess we'll come back in a few hours, hit it with a little bit of sandpaper and see if that was worth the time or not. The thing I'm trying to do is where the paint was still good And I was like, well, I'll just leave the paint. Maybe if I throw some buildup, I can sand it down and blend it in, make it look a little bit nicer. Best thing to do probably would have been just remove all the paint. But here we are. And here we are a few days later. That buildup primer actually sanded down better than I expected. Pretty happy about that. You can definitely still tell where I left some paint behind. I don't think that's going to cause any issues in the long run, just aesthetically, cosmetically. I think it could look a little bit better. Lesson learned, next time I'll just take all the paint off. And then after I sanded that down, I put just one regular coat of automotive primer on top of that. And then that was the first coat of John Deere yellow paint. And then we're going to do a second coat. There's quite a bit of rain in the forecast, so I decided to go ahead and move it inside. But here's what we're looking at. So that is the second coat with this Rust-Oleum Farm Implement John Deere yellow paint. I bought a case of this whenever I did the deck on the John Deere 755. It works really well and I've had good luck with it. I'd like to do a third coat, but it's really humid, obviously where we're at right now. So I'm actually gonna let this sit all the way overnight so that coat can cure out really nice. And I'm gonna hit it with a third coat. I think it looks really, really good though, and considering how it started out, it's a huge improvement. It's definitely stronger than what it was and in better shape than what it was. I did order some brand new blades to put on it. These were 35 bucks. And then I am gonna pick up a new battery, which depending where I get it is gonna be between 35 and 45 bucks. I had some people caution me when I told them I picked up a non-running lawnmower. They said, hey, careful trying to flip lawn equipment. It can build up or add up cost-wise pretty quick. And man, lessons learned. The non-running issue, that was cheap. That was fine. That was easy. It was like, you know, $2 for the little fuel filter and then a little bit of some mechanic in the bottle and some new gas, and it fired right up. It was ready to go. So that didn't cost hardly anything, but man, did it add up on the deck. We had that Pioneer 42 chainsaw. Believe it or not, I sold that online to a fella in California on eBay for $275. He paid the shipping. Minus, we'll call it 15 bucks for the actual saw itself, which was $2, and then some for some carb cleaner and that kind of thing. So let's just say 15 bucks. That left us $260. I paid $200 for that lawnmower, which, knowing what I know now about the deck and the blade, was overpaying. I probably should have been honestly closer to 100 bucks. But we paid what we paid, and that's where we're at. Which leaves us 60 bucks. Minus blades, minus a battery, minus all the paint and primer. Even though I already had all the paint and that rust reformer, I did have to buy some buildup primer. But even though I already had all that paint, because I bought a whole bunch of it whenever I was doing the John Deere 755 deck, and a subscriber sent in that rust reformer, I'm still gonna go ahead and count it. And I don't know, $2 for the fuel filter maybe. And then we probably ought to throw something on there for all the fabrication. The grinding wheel, the flap wheel, some propane. Let's just say 40 bucks worth of shop material. Puts us $82 in the hole. So if we want to at least be back to where we were after we sold the chainsaw, we have to be able to sell a running, mowing, new battery, new blade lawnmower for $342. If we do that, we'll at least be back to where we were. We'll at least be up $260. That'll put us back at $260. It will be up in the green, we'll be sitting good, ready to make another purchase, and we'll have learned a little bit about why it's not worth it, or at least maybe a little bit more investigation when trying to flip a lawnmower or something like that. I need your input. First thing, if you want to see how this finishes out, stay subscribed to the channel. I'm going to get this all finished out this weekend. We're going to take it out, we're going to test mow it, and see how everything turns out. So make sure you're subscribed. But I will not put the video out until I find what we're going to flip next, because I want it all to tie together in a trade-up series or build-up, whatever you want to call it, series playlist. That's where I need your input. What do you think I ought to look at next? Obviously, we're coming into the fall, coming into the winter time, so there's some seasonal things. I don't know. What I'd really like to do, where I think the most money could be made, is getting good deals at yard sales and then fixing things up like that. But I need your input. Leave it on the comments. What's a good way to make a buck off of something that's not running? And where do you guys shop for this stuff? I do Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. Is there something secret that I don't know about that you guys use? Let me know. I want to know. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all your support. I've got to kind of crack this door so the rain doesn't get in, but the air can get out. That's it. Awkward outros. We're still rocking them.